Hello, this is Jeff Hamrick from Rhodes College again, and I'm going to talk about using Fathom's built-in functionality to test whether or not two population proportions are equal. So recall this gender versus aptitude data set that we've been working with throughout the semester. We have a subset of a cohort of Rhodes students, and we've pinged each male or female in that cohort by whether or not their math SAT score was better than their verbal SAT score or vice versa. So this creates a dichotomous by dichotomous analysis situation, and we've already used randomization testing to test whether or not the proportion of women who are better at, let's say, the verbal SAT instead of the math SAT is equal to the proportion of men who are better at verbal than the math SAT. We rejected, using randomization methods, that null hypothesis very strongly earlier this semester. Let's get confirmatory results from Fathom using its built-in functionality. So we drop down this test option from the menu toolbar. The type of test we want to do is on a comparison of proportions. That is, we have two populations, men and women, and whether or not they're better at verbal versus math SAT. So that's the option we want to choose here. I'm going to go on ahead and shut off the verbose option by right-clicking and off-checking this verbose thing right here. And then I need to drop into this box the independent variable and the dependent variable. So the independent variable is gender, because we think that gender is quote-unquote explaining the propensity to be better at verbal SAT than math SAT or vice versa. So I'm going to drop gender here into the second row. The independent variable goes on the second row, and I'm going to drop aptitude here on the first row because that's the dependent variable. Okay, so I have only a couple of additional things that I need to change here. I need to change these choices right here so that they are in the state that I view as being the success state for the dichotomous dependent variable. The way we've been talking about this data set in class, we have viewed success as having a verbal SAT score that's higher than a math SAT score. Obviously that labeling is arbitrary, but just to make that consistent with our classroom discussions, I'm going to switch these two options over to verbal. There we go. And that doesn't really change a great deal, because what you call success doesn't change the results of the hypothesis test. But Fathom computes the test statistic for us. It's 2.721, and the associated p-value, which is 0.0065. Now that p-value has been doubled from a probability quantity in a tail, in this case the right tail, because right here we've chosen the alternative hypothesis to be two-tailed. If we switch this alternative hypothesis to be, let's say, greater than or one-tailed, that will no longer be doubled. Okay, so it just is context dependent whether or not you want that alternative hypothesis to be one-tailed or two-tailed, but this is how we set up a hypothesis test comparing two population proportions using Fathom's built-in functionality. Come to my office if you have any questions about this.